Welcome to Voices of Better Homecare by EDAS. My name is Sade Iaure. I'm a homecare consultant and a trainer specialized in workplace development and multicultural teamwork and workplace development. In this mini-series, we explore what homecare work looks like when different cultures and languages meet. Each short episode brings you real experiences from professionals and leaders working in today's diverse care environments. We'll talk about communication, collaboration, and the everyday challenges that shape modern home care, and how better understanding can strengthen teams and improve the way we care. Let's begin today's conversation. Welcome to Voices of Home Care podcast, Godson Pratt.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here. Pratt, you moved from Ghana to Finland to work in the nursing field. Mm-hmm. What made you to take this step?
I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like something I planned to come to Finland to, be a nurse and stuff like that. But it's just something that happened, in my journey. And then when it happened, I kind of figured like, okay, it's like just my childhood dreams aligning with time and place. And so that's how, I became a nurse in Finland, because I grew up in a little village in Ghana, and there I saw for the first time when there was an accident which my mom was involved in. So I saw how people were taking care of my mom and everybody else. They weren't really nurses. They were, I think, people from the church. It's a village,
Yeah.
So, but then I kind of like had that vision to want to take care of people. But later on in life, that was not my vision anymore. I wanted to go study in the United States, but I was, refused the visa. And one of the reasons that was given because of for the refusal was that, the tuition fee was too expensive and I didn't have the funds. So I started to look for places where education is much more cheaper. And luckily, Finland was free education. So then I came here. And then when I came here, I saw the opportunity to, do nursing. So here we are.
Yeah. What were your expectations when you came to Finland?
To be honest, I had zero expectation because Finland is not even a country I knew about. It's like the first time when I even was, looking for free education and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, Finland, Helsinki, where is that? Like, what do they speak? So literally I didn't have a lot of expectations. And, like when I came here also, I didn't really know people like that. So I was living, the first year, pretty much I lived in a refugee camp, So I had... To be honest, I had zero expectation of Finland. I had more expectation of myself, of what to become and how to be and stuff like that.
Yeah. What were the biggest adjustments you needed to make when you moved to Finland?
I think one of the biggest adjustment or culture shock, so to speak, would be that it's like when you come from Ghana. Ghana is a very how do I say, like high context culture type of thing. We shout a lot, we touch a lot and stuff like that. And, we are like pretty much like close contact people, right? And then you come to Finland and then you realize like people are like more distant, right? So it's like initially when you come and then you touch people and like, hey, how you doing and stuff like that, you realize like they look at you like, hey man, like, do I know you sort of stuff? So like those type of adjustment where like, in the beginning, it was like, okay, like, why is this person always moving further away? If I get close to them, like, is there something wrong?
Yeah.
But like, I think you learn pretty much really fast, and then you start to adjust to the Finnish system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about at your work when you meet with the patients? Can you tell them about your culture, or do they also, like you mentioned, that in Finland people tend to be quiet and avoid touching, but in the healthcare field, touching is part of the work?
Yes. So like you said, like I said, the culture shocks or the adjustment were early, like when I literally just came from Ghana, right? But over time, you start to understand. And, like nursing, you say pretty much is like, a lot of empathy and emotion and, ethics, of course, as well.
Yeah.
So it's like by the time I was already a nurse, I had already transitioned from, understanding how the system works in Finland. And for me also, like literally, I would say that I was a little bit lucky because I started my career in the old people's home.
Yeah.
Right. So in the old people's home, they're a little bit different, and they are more like accepting and, welcoming, but also very free in terms of being vocal. Right. So the old people, if they cannot speak English or they cannot even understand what you mean in Finnish, they will tell you, like, hey, my friend, don't say it like that, say it like this, right? So that was like a very easy transition for me, So in a professional setting, in a healthcare setting, like I don't have any issue with, like touching a patient and making them feel calm or feel, comfortable or like giving them a little bit of hope, that kind of like, I think it comes naturally in a healthcare settings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about then when you work with colleagues in a Finnish team? How does the communication then work, and do they make you feel welcome?
Me personally, I would say yes. I haven't really had any that type of experience. That is just me, because I can pretty much speak just on my own, personal experience. So I've worked in a lot of very different healthcare fields in Finland. So I think like every workplace has a little bit different culture and dynamics, right? So depending on what type of environment it is, then you kind of know like how to, deal with people. I've worked in like some facilities where I've pretty much been almost like the only African in the department, but most of the Finns have probably lived abroad or studied abroad, so they kind of understood those cultural dynamics. So it was like easy to like, tap them on the knee like, hey, what's up, bro? Like, how's it going and stuff. But then you sometimes go to other settings where people are more reserved and they are more calm, and they have this energy of let's just be professional and do our work, and you go with the flow pretty much. Yeah. But for me personally, so far, I think I've had a good run, being that I started, in the nursing field like 2012 thereabout, and I'm still pretty comfortable. So
that's nice to hear. That's nice to hear.
At the heart of Aurora are 4 intelligent modules: recruitment, HR, scheduling, and payroll, seamlessly connected through automation and AI. Together, they form a unified system that simplifies operations, saves time, and enhances workforce efficiency. Powered by automation and AI. Automated. Compliance ensured. Aurora makes workforce management smart, flexible, and effortless. Everything connected in one platform. Aurora. Recruitment, HR, scheduling, communication, payroll, and automation. All in one flow.
If you look at you working in Finland and having this quiet environment, and people avoid touching, sometimes they even avoid eye contact if you take a bus or something.
Right.
But what would you say you have learned about yourself while being here?
That's a very interesting question. It's a good question. And I would say like I've learned a lot about myself being in Finland, because I think like it is also fair to say that I've literally grown up in Finland, because when I came to Finland, I was literally about 21 years, and so I was still like fairly young, and I was like literally by myself. I didn't have a parent or a guardian here, so you tend to make a lot of mistakes as a youngie, and doing things with your own free will.
Yeah.
But sometimes because you live in Finland, you understand how this society works. You kind of like understand the do's and don'ts of the society, right? So that kind of helps you to shape who you are as a person, and also like you kind of like, I think in the beginning you compare and contrast with where you are coming from and then where you are, right? And then you figure out, okay, maybe where I come from, I could do things in this way and it will be completely fine. But here it's like, okay, you can do things in a certain way and then, it's not fine. So those kind of also help to reshape or learn about myself that, okay, maybe I need to understand, like whenever I go somewhere, I should take a little bit of time to familiarize myself with the place, the people, their culture and their behaviors, so that I can figure out like how can I, in a way, shape myself to incorporate into that community. So I would say like the things I've learned about myself, a lot of them.
Yeah. Last, I want to ask, what about what advice you would give to managers and nursing teams that work in the environment where there are workers coming from different cultures? How could they make the teamwork work better in this kind of teams?
Yeah, I think advice to a manager, that's very interesting because I've never been a manager before. So, sometimes it's very difficult to understand their roles, right? Because it's like sometimes when you have conversation with colleagues at work, especially when both of you are like, you see some issue or problem and then you are discussing it. Like usually it's very easy for us to say like, oh, if I was the boss, I would do this and this and this, right?
Yeah.
But then sometimes when you openly or jokingly speak to the boss, you realize really quickly that the boss also has a boss, right? And so the boss is also literally doing like what the boss says the boss should do, right? So, but for me, I think like, you know, I was having a conversation with a colleague yesterday at work, right? And then, so this was like a new worker in my space. So literally I was just asking, you know, how are you feeling in this place? Do you like it? How is it compared to where you used to be? So we're having those type of conversation and, you know, we are sharing our experiences from the type of places that I've also been. And, you know, we came to this conclusion or this understanding that, you know, sometimes it's not really about the workplace, or let's say like the customer base. You know, sometimes you have customers that are a little bit challenging, or they need more like more help, more support and stuff like that. But then when the colleague or the team is like strong and united and comforting and understanding, it makes even the work itself become more easy. Because, you know, I was sharing an experience of one place that I've been, which, you know, obviously to me so far, that was like in terms of the customers, they were the most difficult. But I never for a moment even felt tired or felt burnout or anything, because the team, we were like literally together. Like we went to drink coffees together, we went to eat together. We were like, you know, just supporting everybody. So I think for managers, if I have one advice, I think like, you know, they should talk more often with the workers, right? Because it's like, if you're an army commander, you are at the tower, right? So you can see like what's going on down there.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as a soldier who is on the ground.
Yeah.
Because when you're looking from the tower, what you see might be a little bit different from what the people on the ground see, right? So I would think like my advice to managers would be, you know, like talk often with your workers and find out like, you know, what are the issues that they're having, you know, be it even with their own colleagues or be it with, you know, newcomers from different cultures, like how to get that kind of like inclusion, right? So that everybody feels like they've been heard, they've been seen, and they've been, you know, appreciated and respected, you know, because especially when it comes to foreigners, you know, we are coming from a very different, you know, like experiences and cultural understanding. So it takes time for even us to understand like, okay, we are in a very new country, in a very new system, and in a very, you know, new culture dynamics. We also can sometimes be like prejudgmental because it's like, okay, things are not working the way that we are used to things working. So it takes effort from both sides, right? But how can both sides understand each other is by communication, by talking, you know, listening to the other person, and also like figuring out how to navigate, you know, the work atmosphere, because I think the work atmosphere is the most important thing. If that one is not good, nobody will survive. Not the boss, not the workers, and probably not even the workplace.
Yeah. I agree with you that if you have good work atmosphere, even like the heavy job can feel like it's easy to do.
100%.
And same way, like if the atmosphere doesn't work, then even if you have like easy job, it can become a burden.
100%.
But yeah, you said the message for managers: communicate more with the team, so
I
you
think
know what's going on. Awesome. Thank you so much, Godson Pratt.
Thank you very much, Sade, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.